Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slightly Frosted, our new YouTube videocast. I'm Icel, and today hosting the panel with me is Rotoou. Hello.
Hey Icel, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So what are we talking about today?
We have two stories, or actually three stories, to talk about. Two of them has something with fast internet connection. One is the Google Fiber project in the US, and another is Dotcom revolutionary New Zealand fiber connection.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And the second story we'll cover later is the new study that gamers may actually be better at simulated surgery than medical residents. The Google Fiber project is not anything new. We knew about it for about, 3 years.
Yeah, about that much. They planned it for quite a while.
Yes, they had a kind of lottery between different towns in the US. Each town could suggest itself to be part of the project, and to have been selected to receive Google Fiber is Andover Heights in Kansas. It will be done in 2 stages. The first is the infrastructure. Google come and connect the houses from outside to the fiber line. Then you can register and they will come to your house and set up the internet and so forth.
Yeah, they have a nice video with the nice guy explaining everything.
Yes. Do you remember what are the reported speeds for this project, internet speeds?
They said 1 gigabit. The fiber is capable of delivering 1 gigabit, but it's probably going to be 1 megabit of internet. I'm not too sure.
According to the Wikipedia article about the Google Fiber, it's indeed 1 gigabit both up and down. If you look at the table, they have this division into gigabit plus television and only gigabit and then free internet. Are they saying that whichever pays them gets the full gigabit internet, but everybody gets 5 megabit internet for free?
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
It connects that to the other story about Dotcom. He says he wants to buy himself a new fiber optic cable from the US to New Zealand and get free internet for everybody.
The only thing I can say is dream on, man.
And he says he's going to pay for that from the lawsuit he is going to file against the federal government in the United States for all the wrongdoings. Yes, and Hollywood studios. For all the wrongdoings they did to him.
Yeah, they shut down Mega Upload, so they must pay him like millions of dollars.
So
how much does he expect? How much does he expect to get from these lawsuits? I wonder.
Okay, first off, the Trans-Pacific cable would be 12,000, almost 13,000 kilometers in length.
Yeah.
And it will only support up to 100 megabits by 2019. 75% of the homes in New Zealand will be connected. New Zealand already have a fiber optic cable. This will be the second one to be deployed, and there is a company that tried to do that, and they spent $6 million on it, but apparently it's not enough.
Yeah, they say they need about 400 or maybe even $500 million to do it, and this seems about right. I mean, they tried to do it and failed because they couldn't get funds from the government, and they couldn't get funds from out of New Zealand, and it just crashed.
We will need to find 300 million of private angel funding to get moving with this project.
Yeah, it also said he needs to invest 200 million of his own, so about 500. It was the right assumption, and he won't own the line, by the way.
I don't think he intend to. He want to.
No, he won't be able to because the United States will never let him set foot in the United States, and every company he owns. So
yeah, as soon as he buys something in the US, they can arrest him by US laws. That's what they did with Mega Upload. He had several servers hosted there. Also, people talked about in the comment to the article that the US could just cut off the line from their end, just not provided with internet connection.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Well, as I said before, he can keep dreaming because I don't think that will happen in the near future. His whole basis of free internet for New Zealand for the private sector is going to be even harder to do. This whole...
It's basically a propaganda to get other internet companies to come invest in New Zealand, so that his case will be stronger against the US, and New Zealand wouldn't want to deport him to the US. So far, the court there deemed the all action against him illegal, but in March I think there is an international hearing of his case, and they may just decide that to hand him over to the US for whatever reason, even if it's illegal. There is a strong lobby of the entertainment industry to get him locked away.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I do hope he'll succeed in whatever he's trying to do, but I just can't see it happening in the near future. I think this is what the internet is going to be in the future, free for the private sector and the government, and the business sector will have to pay some amount to get a better internet connection. But in the meantime, I just can't see it happening.
So, internet billionaires going to jail, maybe he will start working on his medical degree there. Segway! This is your item, go.
Okay, so the second item we have today is the study that was conducted in UTMB?
The University of Texas Medical Branch at Gladstone.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was a university somewhere there. Anyway, they claim that teenage gamers are better at simulated surgery than medical residents there that practice for several years even. And to be honest, I don't see it surprising too much. I mean, look at all the last studies about gamers being better than others in other aspects of gaming. For example, there was a study of MMOs players where they were better at socialing and better in teamwork, so they solved things much better at teamwork. And there is a study of people playing games, puzzle games, and even FPS games. Yeah, they have better visual perception than others. They could just find every little detail and everything. So it doesn't come as a surprise that gamers can operate certain aspects of surgery better than surgeon. Now, I have to say, it's not the operation itself. It's the mechanical units that they operate. Loads of surgical projects today are just using robots to do it. So we're talking about operating those robots, not actual taking a knife and cutting someone out. So I find it
likely,
pretty likely, yeah, to be. I mean, two things that make games better than anything in the real world is you play games for fun, so anything you do for fun is probably going to teach you much more than something you just learn because you think it's good for you. And the second thing is games are competitive, and competition usually helps much more than competition in universities, where competition is more about grades or stuff like this.
No, but we're talking about medical residents, not medical students. Medical residents do compete each other for the right to have the spot in the medical team in a certain hospital.
Yeah, but it's not a competition that takes place every second during it. I mean, you're not operating the robots just to compete with others. Yeah, you do it to practice and to get better and then compete somewhere else.
Yes, they are not graded on the actual surgical task. The competition is more broad. It's in the general performance in all aspects of their medical residency.
What do you mean?
I mean that unlike gamers which compete on the specific tasks they are presented, for example, in a specific match, medical residents are put against each other more broadly. They are being examined for every aspect of the work, from how they treat the patient, the social skills, their memory, a lot of things. It's not a specific gamey task they are rewarded about.
As I said, it's less of a competition and more who you are, really, because there are certain kind of people who will be better surgeons or better doctors, and it has nothing to do with operating the robots itself. I mean, it's kind of a competition even for the medical residents, but for a gamer, being inside a game, it's a competition for these kind of tests. So I think we'll see in the near future much more articles like this, or they'll actually find gamers to be much better than people who master their kind of work in certain aspects of their work, because games, because they're fun, because they're competitive, because they make you look at certain stuff differently, and they make you better at these kind of things, just like MMOs get you better social skills. And
that's
I mean,
kind of weird, actually.
No, I mean, for example, when you play WoW and you're going on a dungeon or an instance or doing a boss in any MMO, really, you can't do it by yourself. You have to rely on your teammate. You have to give them power to do stuff, and you have the assurance, or you think you have the assurance that they'll do their best. So this reliance is much better than what you find in life, where people competing each other even when they need to work as a team. So I find it very likely, as we said before, that this kind of thing is better for gamers. For example, if we look at people who solve puzzles, they'll be better at solving certain puzzles in work, even in software engineering, when there is not puzzle but recursive algorithm and other things that you need to solve like a puzzle. They'll be better at it.
There is the famous case of the Fold-It game, the gamification of the Fold-It Home project, which in order to solve the structure of proteins, they have a grid computing system make hundreds of thousands and millions of tests. They took some of the later stages of stuff that the computer did and put it into a puzzle game called Fold-It, and asked people to try and solve how the protein fold. And then they presented the findings at some convention or other, and found out that a group of gamers managed to solve the problem of folding certain proteins a lot faster than professors that work at it all their lives.
And in some cases even better, because there were some puzzles which gamers solved, and only they solve it. I mean, mysteries that Professor was puzzled by for years, they just solved in this conference, or I don't remember. It was a conference, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, and they solved it, and professors found it to be very reliable. I mean, they had to change some stuff to match how proteins really work, but they help solve some of these puzzles. It's amazing.
Yes.
And I think you'll find gamers to be better in some aspects, and I think that I think what we think about gamers nowadays, that they become violent and they become socially awkward and stuff, are exaggeration, and some of them are not lies but misconception about this whole thing.
Well, as gaming become more mainstream, these things will become less frequent, I guess. Although some of these misconceptions and stereotypes are being made by people like politicians. You heard about the case of a state representative, a woman that ran to be a state representative in the US. She was accused at playing World of Warcraft, and they say that this disqualified her from running to be state representative.
Wow.
That was their campaign.
Wow. No, I never heard of it, and I think this is just wrong.
That's all we can say. It's wrong.
I'm baffled at this, because the whole point of an MMO is the exact opposite. They'll be great in these kind of things. They'll be great leaders. Some of them, of course, but it helps.
At the very least, it doesn't hinder her in any way. The fact that she plays games.
It doesn't hinder it in any way. I agree completely. This is just silly.
Okay, and with this note, we will end the show for now. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see our viewers next time.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.